So, first video. Not sure I want to get into the content creation business, but I figured might as well give it a try. Try to become a brand, put on a cowboy suit, pick out a name, Cowboy Kulak. I like the Kulaks. Well, there are many content creators called Kulak and they're cool people. But first thing I want to talk about is level up. If you don't know specific lecture on level up, but first I'll talk about level up itself. Level up, conference made by objectivists. I don't know if you know objectivism. It's made by this Ayn Rand, the Jewish egoist lady for capitalism. Like a work, like a predictions. Got sold on egoism anyway. And I thought, well, might as well mingle with the crowd, see what the people are up to. So tomorrow I'm going to level up in Prague, level up Europe. But I want to have something of my chest regarding previous level up. I went to a previous level up in Phoenix, Arizona. And there was one specific lecture, talk, I don't know how should you call it, I don't know, doesn't really matter, called The Education Cancer and Its Cure by Andrew Bernstein, and it pissed me off. It agitated me quite a bit. I found it maybe even a bit subversive, disarming. Basically, the title says it all. The Education, Cancer and Its Cure. And it talks, the first part, which I completely agree with, is how public education is cancer. It is pretty much child abuse. And I think in the US it's a lot, I'm a Dutchie, Netherlands. I think in the US it's a lot worse than in the Netherlands, but still, public education is wrong. It's forcing, at least in my country, it's forcing children to do stuff that's unnatural to them. But in some cases, I would say it is child abuse. It is. I've heard the horror stories from fellow Congress goers too about the ideological indoctrination. Just a couple of days ago, I read about molestation. I see videos of children being beaten up by their fellow students and having no recourse. They can do nothing about it. So like normally you can pull away. Well, normally there is no normal. I would say sensibly, someone might be able to pull away from such a thing. No, it's compulsory usually. Well, that's the thing in the US. I'm not sure it's allowed in my country. You have homeschooling. And that was the solution Andrew proposed. Going gold. I don't know if you guys know what going gold means. In Atlas Shrugged, I haven't finished reading it, but I know what it's about. It's basically making your own community, retreating. And I think in a war against public education, and it might be valid to go to war against public education, just retreating and creating bunkers, let's say, is not the only strategy you should employ. It can be part of a strategy, but there are so many more things in your arsenal to do so. Just doing your own thing, I don't think that's enough, and I think only introducing such things as a solution, that's not fighting a war. And it's a problem I see generally among let's say libertarian types. Bitcoin, do your own thing. Like leftist commies are much better at let's say instituting social change. You could say it's not an even playing field because of elite backing and the stuff like that. But even we have our elites. Level Up, looking at the, the sponsorships they receive, we have our elites as well. And with influence and funding. Anyway, I would say there are many more strategies you can employ against public education, from the very much illegal things, which I never advocate for anything illegal. Hint, hint. Freedom of speech in the Netherlands isn't as great as in the US, but I'm never advocating for it. It is just a how should I call it? Uh, a possible scenario. You can call it role playing. Yes, LARPing. Yeah, LARP. It's a LARP. It's a LARP. Um, but like public schools, you they are flammable. You know, like if you have nothing to lose, I wouldn't advocate. I wouldn't do it myself. It's very risky. But there are people that there have been people in the past in public education in the US that have nothing to lose. That's why you have a school shooting problem. Well, one of the reasons. Um, but those are the extreme things. The extreme things. But there are also strategies for people who don't want to ruin their lives. Um, who don't want to ruin their lives, and I wonder how much ability you have in creating certificates. Education certificates might also be illegal, but things that are not illegal, which is U.S. land of the lawyer, sue them for whatever you got, child abuse, whatever. We know the level up guys have very wealthy sponsors, at least that's what it appears. If you can just trickle a bit of money to lawyers, that's something you can do. But it's not just suing them, it is also there are individuals you can target, and target I don't mean in a violent way, but let's say in a social media campaign, in a marketing campaign. I know, for instance, my country has a minister of education. The US probably has something similar. They have a pyramid of those on below. I don't suggest you should be nasty at normal school teachers for public education. They just want to do their thing, unless they're particularly toxic, and some might deserve it. Who knows? Um, but many of these people, they just have a LinkedIn page. Just go to their LinkedIn and say you support child abuse or whatever, or get Canadian healthcare if you want to get more extreme. There are things you can do that are not legal. They are competitive. They are they are competitive, but that's a war. Like, they abuse your children, they destroy the future of the nation, and the thing is, you can separate, I think, education between higher and lower. Higher is also ruining our civilization, but lower is also targeting vulnerable children, which I would say is worse. Um, but regarding the targeting of lower education, there's more you can do than just go GALT. You can pick targets. I know Alinsky tactics. Pick targets and make a social media campaign. Explain you're responsible for child abuse. You're responsible for this. You're responsible for that. I hate you. If I came across you on the street, I would spit on you. There are many things you can do, and on Level Up, I have met quite the, well, maybe I shouldn't say holy warrior types, because atheism and objectivism. uh, but would said, well, I'm willing to die to fight for freedom. I personally said, is that really egoism if you die? Is it really your self-interest? Doesn't matter. There are valuable targets. And if you truly want to commit your life to, let's say, instituting change, there are things you can do. You can go to people and say what you think about them, and maybe create more social media accounts, more people to say what you think about them. You can, I don't know, go on the streets. I don't know, maybe protesting doesn't work. Um, but just going out there and getting energized and getting more followers to want to join this war, recruit more people, and most importantly with all those things is picking targets and strategies. Once you have a nice target and a nice strategy, anyone can join. Followers can just appear just like you you showing competence alone, I think. So the lady I was talking to was really feisty, by the way. Maybe should have hit her up instead of trying to win arguments. Um, was still had a good time with my fellow conference people. Great parties. Um, yeah, uh, that's. I think that's it. Well, it. That's what I think of Bernstein's talk. You're not fighting a war. You're running away. And maybe I think that might have been the problem with Atlas Shrugged. Maybe Galt should have not built a gulch but an army. And yeah, it is disarming. It is not a proper way to fight, and it should be a fight. I think there are of course many fights to fight against many evils, against the liberty movement. Uh, but yeah, don't fake fight. Uh, um, yeah, don't institute a war but not truly fight it. I think, and try to disarm. Yeah, it irks me. It, by the way, if maybe Bernstein himself, but others think I misconstrued what he meant or anything, fine. I'm open-minded. I'm tolerant. So tolerant to yeah, to misconstrue. But my point still is, in the war against public education, there are many more weapons, and you can be much more competitive than just doing your own thing. More competitive means more risks, of course, but the more people's lives are ruined, young people's lives, by education, the more people there are who have nothing to lose in a war. Anyway, this was it for my first video. Not sure I want to make any more, become this brand thing. But I wanted this off my chest before I go tomorrow and get my head filled with new ideas, new people. Um, hopefully, this sort of stuff doesn't get the eye of Sauron upon me, getting cancelled, stuff like that. But sometimes in life you have to take risks, and I feel this was getting this off my chest was a fair risk to take. Anyway, maybe see you around if this gets any followers. But well, maybe I shouldn't talk it down when it's not released yet. But it will be if you're watching this. Goodbye.